Great. I think we are live, ma'am. And welcome, everyone. Welcome to the second season of Education Leaders Confluence's Principal Roundtable, organized by PRATHAM Test Prep. My name is Sriram Nanda, and I feel especially privileged to invite you all. It's been exactly 2 years since we launched the first episode way back in 2020, and what we had envisioned for this particular process was that a lot of schools and teachers across India and maybe even beyond the borders was struggling with how to manage the pandemic, online learning, and all the other aspects. And that's when we decided that we are going to bring in pioneering educators, visionary principals to this forum so that they can share their experiences, what they are doing with their schools and their student community and their teachers community. And that knowledge can be shared and implemented, maybe even customized according to your needs, your school's needs, and so on. The first season, we recorded 4 of such episodes. It was received very well, and it was, hinted and published at least 30 publications all over India, which highlighted the importance of such discussions. In fact, I would like to claim that, many other fora actually sprang out of this idea that we had started. And I'm glad that we could initiate a conversation which is helping many, many people across India and beyond. In the second season, after the pandemic has ended and everyone is asking, okay, why is such a forum required again? Well, let me remind you, because now, since we are in the post-COVID world, in a lot of, I think we can claim that we are in a post-COVID world in a lot of ways. The challenges are actually changing, and they're changing quite fast. Yes, we have successfully, struggled through what happened in the last 2 years, but this is a new paradigm altogether, where we have to not only get children back to school and implement all the best practices that we had before the pandemic, but also include all the best practices that we learned during the pandemic and make education safer, better, and available to all. Today, I am joined with 2 very, very amazing personalities. Let me start with Miss Minakshi Kushwaha. She is the principal of Birla, Vidya, Niketan, and she has been there since 2011. She is a multiple awardee educationist. She was recently awarded with a national level CBSE award for school leadership. And apart from that, she has been leading multiple school organizations and communities in South Delhi. She has been actively involved in teacher training on various topics. Safe to say, she is one of the best representatives of a CBSE run school today in India. Welcome, ma'am. Then we are joined with another amazing personality, Miss Manisha Malhotra. She is the principal of the very famous Sriram school, Moulsarai Avenue. She has been in education for the last 25 plus years, having a background in life sciences, doing a lot of research for 5 years, and then she decided to get into education, and she has been actually lighting the way for others to follow. She has implemented the amazing IB and Cambridge curricula at Moulsarai Avenue, apart from the ISC curricula as well. So safe to say, that we have somebody representing those curricula, which includes the international curriculum here on this forum. This provides the perspective for today's topic, and today's topic is related to what UNESCO has been hinting at since 2019. UNESCO in 2019 started something called the International Day Against Violence and Bullying, including cyberbullying in schools. Now, pursuant to that, we are organizing this conversation, but we actually wanted to expand the horizon of the conversation. The conversation, yes, will talk about cyberbullying and internet usage and so on, but we also want to hint at how IT and internet can empower our students, teachers, educators, and parents, rather than something that we see as nonchalant, something that we see as not important, something that we see is as only a problem and not a solution. Today, we are going to talk about the internet usage as a solution for our schools. Ma'am, welcome to both of you. Thank you so much for taking out time here.
Pleasure is all ours.
Yeah.
I would just say thank you for inviting us. It's a real pleasure to be on this panel.
It is our pleasure, ma'am. Manisha, ma'am, let me begin with you. Ma'am, what do you think? How ready are we as far as the cyber world is concerned, the IT ecosystem is concerned, post-COVID?
I think, I should say one of the benefits of COVID has been that most of the teachers have quickly, and education institutions have quickly realized that IT can be a tool, a lifesaver in such situations, So, and I think across the board, across the globe, I should say, teachers being learners and self-learners quickly had to train themselves because we wanted to reach out to our students. And I must commend all the teachers across schools who quickly unlearned and relearned how to use this as a tool and how beneficial this tool is for the students and for us. In fact, because of the children being digital natives, sometimes there used to be a gap. But now teachers are teaching the way students learn. So they are finally using that media, that platform to guide them to what is to be done. And hence the role of the teacher to just guide over here. And I feel that a lot of platforms, software, teachers learned, students also taught them or handheld the teachers, if I can say that, so that there was a mutual learning aspect. Of course, all of it was not so rosy. There might have been some challenges, but I feel over the 2 years, there was a huge jump in the teachers acquiring a lot of skills and the students benefiting from those skills as well. And the students realizing that my teacher is not that obsolete. She can venture into my world and she does know what's happening and play interference if required.
Wow. That is an amazing introduction, actually.
If I may add here, just one sentence. In fact, schools have started respecting internet and devices because, in fact, these things ran our schools for 2 years. Earlier, we would say, no internet, don't do this, don't do that. And now there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So true.
Those are amazingly powerful statements that both of you just made. Manisha, ma'am, you said teachers are now teaching how students learn. I mean, that is such a huge statement because it challenges all the existing pedagogies that we were following. And Minakshi, ma'am, obviously now you're going to give your introductory comments, but you've started obviously with such an amazing statement. Schools have started respecting IT and devices, which probably they didn't do earlier. Ma'am, would you like to add to that?
Well, I would only echo what Manisha has just now said, because we all felt the same way. We knew nothing about, say, Zoom or Teams or online classes majorly, So one is that we learned, of course, children did a lot of hand-holding. The community did a lot of hand-holding, in the sense that someone's parent is a tech-savvy person. So they told us how to use Teams and not Zoom, what are the disadvantages and things like those. So I think as community of parents, students and teachers, we got closer. Our relationship became stronger because we were all learning and teaching and we were all in the same boat. So that connect became stronger, I would say. And definitely, it is something that's going to stay. Flipped learning has become a way of life because we find it so simple. And as Manisha just now said, that when we were talking initially, that teachers' role has become as felicitators in a better way. Because through flipped classrooms, this is being done in a beautiful manner. Teachers making presentations, children working upon them, beautifying them, adding on points, showing the presentations, discussing them in class. All those tools have, I think, they're unstoppable now.
Wow.
If I may just add to this, that, there were challenges because 2 years we were wondering, no activities. So, how to do it? I went to my children. I mean, what sort of activities? How do we conduct assemblies? Ma'am, very good. Just record your assemblies. We will see. So then the children recorded assemblies. They had sports chess competition online because they said the sports world cannot go. Yoga videos were shown, and then yoga competitions and physical fitness competitions with, bottles of water. What all can you do with them, and how do you stay fit? So I think once you collaborate with the students and the parents, and you're open to, like Minakshi ma'am said, if you're open to these suggestions and you're in an open mode, progress is much there. There is so much fun in learning. So involving the students at every step, I find when you're navigating the virtual world is important. You see, because there's a dark side to this world which only our students know. So the more connect we have with our students, the more we can guide them. We have the experience of what the world can be like. They are innocent. They can go awry. So we need to be there with them. So the connect has to be important. That's what I think.
Wow. This is actually, very different from what I had expected this conversation to go, and I love it, because what we're talking about is may sound so counterintuitive to a lot of listeners, that they might have expected, the school is doing this and they have done this infrastructure and this training and so on, but it's actually coming from both ends, the students and the teachers and the school's end. Ma'am, my question now would be, can you identify some of those interesting aspects? Like you just gave some examples, ma'am, Manisha ma'am, as to how, assemblies and fitness sessions were being done online, and the students said, we'll manage it. Can you also identify some ideas, some other ideas that you experienced in the last 2 years, which you probably had never thought of would ever happen in your career as a principal?
Gosh, first and foremost, I should say I never expected that we could ever conduct a student council election or an assembly online. I learned that also. And, because all this is run by our students, they lead it. We are just there to guide them. It was a great learning for all of us that it can be done online, whether it was a Shri debate annual event or things like that. Meanwhile, I also feel that now, because of the learnings of the COVID times, the teachers are getting the children future ready. So, for example, instead of telling them just write an essay, a teacher in English will say, okay, if you like, you can start a blog on this topic, or, you do a video because of Flipgrid. And, or let's do a Kahoot quiz just to check where you are with your understanding. So you'll have teachers using different platforms. So it's blended learning, from going totally offline to online to blended. Because everybody has realized that IT can be a powerful tool for the teaching learning process. You can use IT to reach out to students who may be absent a particular day, record your lesson and give it. You could ask the children who are struggling with the concept to work on it later. So, you can be available. Many of our meetings have gone online because it's so much time saving. You don't really need to be physically present. So you save that distance travel time. So I would say teachers have benefited from it. If you see all the teachers, I would say no. But most of the teachers, most of the time or some of the time do it. And as a management of the school and as leading the school, there are some things we insist upon so that the learnings of the COVID times and the online schooling does not get lost. In fact, I think most schools in Delhi, NCR, because of pollution, have again gone online. Yeah. So it's a tool. And at Sriram, because of the earlier pollution, we had trained our teachers with online classes. So we did not have that much of a problem to shift like many of the other schools did, because Delhi, NCR, unfortunately, pollution can have a minor advantage. And that was that when the schools would shut down, we said, what to do? 15 days school closed, what do you manage? So we had trained our teachers on Microsoft Teams and Zoom. So we moved very quickly. But so many softwares are available. That had to be done. And luckily, we had an ICT department, which trained our teachers and even now constantly keeps updating itself.
Amazing. Minakshi ma'am, how did you find some of the interesting ideas in the last 2 years?
Okay, it had been a very interesting journey. because our school was not trained for online classes. And when lockdown started, our school had to reopen. The new session had to start after 2 days. And we said no delays, no matter how, we have to win the battle. And we had 2 days to think of its software and how to take it forward, how to train teachers. But yes, teachers, ICT department, children, we all did it together. And we were able to restart the new session on the scheduled date and time. So I would thank everybody for this. Then we trained our teachers on Zoom. We started, and then this Zoom thing started happening that the government finds it with a lot of loopholes and other things. So parents started wondering, is it safe? Why don't we switch over to something else? Now that was the second challenge. And but yes, after the summer vacation, we were on MS Teams, and we were very happy because there was no fear now that the computer will be hacked or things like those. Examinations and assessments were challenged because we realized that children are using unfair means to some extent, which we didn't want. And we didn't want to ignore that. Of course, there were verbal sessions, there were oral tests and all those things, And the best is, and the most interesting is that I, out of my wisdom, said that when children write their exam, this test, they will have their cameras on and they'll have their earplugs inserted so that even if somebody is dictating them the answer, they would not be hearing. After the exam, one child tells me, "Ma'am, you know what we did?" I said, "Yes, tell me." I mean, I must appreciate them for being so smart. And but yes, they have to be more positive and more result oriented in true sense. So they said, "Ki ma'am, you made us wear earplugs." So we had one earplug of my mobile phone connected in my ear, and the other one was through the laptop. And we had remotely logged in because it was held in groups. So they had remotely logged in some experts into their computers, the children who were bright, so-called. So the moment the question was coming on screen, the remotely logged in child was also able to see. And he or she was dictating the answer through the mobile phone, which children were writing, and teachers were thinking, oh, these children are very religiously writing the answers. So, and I laughed it out and I thought, what next now? Because children taught me that this is possible and they've done it. So this was very interesting, very challenging. And then we switched over to a lot of oral tests, a lot of smaller group assessments, verbal, oral discussions, things like those. And of course, MS Forms was very much useful. And so assessments was one challenge and very interesting challenge, I would say. Yes, we did all our events. There was nothing that did not happen that year, because we did our award ceremony, we did our assemblies, there was nothing that was not done. So, and with huge success rate, we came to know of children more, especially those kinds of children who were otherwise shy in classes. The special children were taken special care of because they were not ashamed of anything, or there was no peer pressure on anybody. So that was one thing. But yes, cybercrime was a challenge for which we were telling children, guiding children, training children continuously not to get indulged into such things and what all can lead to cybercrime. Because children don't realize that what they are doing will lead to a kind of offense. So those trainings were imparted, and happy that, we did a good job together. Yeah. There were challenges, but yes, a lot of learning happened, and what we learned continues even now. And I think it's not going to stop. computers and laptops and mobiles in our classrooms are not going to be stopped. Of course, it might be that you bring your mobile phones on this day, this period, because I want to do this activity, or your laptop. And we might say, okay, today no need. So those things will continue.
Amazing, ma'am. In fact, this reminds me both of your experiences, both the positives and the negatives. When you said this reminds me of a poem by William Wordsworth, wherein the poem is called "My Heart Leaps Up," and there's a very important line in that which has now become an idiom. Child is the father of man.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Right?
So true.
Oh yes.
So true.
Oh
In
yes.
fact, if I may add to what Ms. Minakshi ma'am was saying, that we also faced a challenge with assessment, but it started also discussions about what is integrity.
Yeah.
What does integrity mean?
Yes.
And that gave us a platform to talk about it for parents, students, teachers, to have this conversation. And we also faced a challenge of them switching off cameras because they would roll out of bed and they would roll into the classroom. And that is another challenge. Coming back to school, many of them will say to get up early morning, ma'am. So and some of the seniors, because classes 11 and 12 students sometimes stay awake late, working or surfing, as I should say. And then they would say, ma'am, early morning CT period, why are you having? Just give us 5 minutes more extra nap time. So one day, one of the teachers said, okay, let's try this 10 minutes nap time. Will it refresh you? So then, talk about power naps and how do you manage your time and scheduling came through. So I feel that the challenges, many were there, but together, like Minakshi ma'am said, parents, students, the community came together. And that sense of being together, being involved in this, as a school, we always believed in it. We do have a strong PTA body, but here everyone gave whatever learning they could, whatever they had heard, how to do it better. And we kept evolving. And that's, I think, is the road to improvement and progress.
And what about the parents in our classrooms?
I know.
That was again a beautiful experience, a huge challenge though, because sometimes the parents would sit, my child is sleeping, so I am attending the class.
Also interfering with how the class is going.
Yes,
because the
yes.
Students have their own relationship. We know when to be strict. We know when to be mild. We know when to be kind. There are these little things, but sometimes we have to draw boundaries. So parents will say, but why is she saying that to my child? It's okay.
Ma'am, my immediate question now, and I'm sorry I'm cutting you off, but my immediate question now is, all this learning, have you been able to formalize it in how we are going ahead with the teaching, whether it's blended, flipped, or in classroom? Are we able to formalize that in our pedagogies now?
Yes.
So I would say that, where I spoke about blended learning, I give you an example. Very often teachers would say, write an essay or write a reflection. Now you can do a video on it using Flipgrid. Or I want to conduct a discussion, say, on genetically modified foods are good or not. I would use Padlet and tell them, bring your computers on XY day. We are looking at children, one day getting their computers. We are working on the bandwidth to increase so much that if we decide Monday, all class 6s will get. Or, seniors, of course, in the international curriculum get it more frequently as and when the need is. But we've not prescribed computers all the time, because the face-to-face interaction, our body language teaches a child a lot. And we also learn a lot about the child. I've been a teacher for many years, I think more than 15 years, 25 years, I still teach. Sometimes sitting in the class, looking at the child's expression was very important. And, during the pandemic, when they would switch off their camera and I was teaching, they would say, why do you want us to switch on the camera? I said, no, because I can make out from your expressions whether you got it or not. And they said, that's very amazing. I said, yes, that is amazing. That is my role, not yours. So, how it is that these are things I would say that the teachers are now staying with, or doing a little dip test using a Kahoot quiz or a Quizlet, or quickly making a form and telling them, just answer these questions, doing an exit slip online that, I finished this topic. How many? Because it's comfortable. They don't have to all give their names. I think without anonymously, they can share that I'm still struggling with this aspect of the concept. Then I can reach out to that child and say, okay, let's spend some time together and get to it. So of course, there are some challenges, but I feel the advantages far outweigh. And hence schools should adopt or should stay with some bit of technology, but always look at it as a tool we need to use. It cannot be the answer to all our problems, but it can definitely be a tool which we can use wisely. And that is where the role of the teacher is, I feel. Where cybercrime is concerned, as a school, there's a lot we have in place to avoid it, but you can't say it's totally 100% not there. Because sometimes they have multiple identities on multiple platforms. Each time, Snapchat, I came to know from my students when it's just started. So some child told me, ma'am, nowadays Snapchat is the one thing, not Facebook. I said, acha, okay. So we also keep having conversations to understand where are they actually now, which area are they now inhabiting, as if I can use that word. And that's one of the things.
No, you're absolutely right, ma'am. Minakshi, ma'am, in fact, for CBSE schools, I was involved in this, activity where basically CBSE had suggested that students rap about certain topics related to sustainability, lockdown, etc., etc. And I was working with a couple of schools here in Punjab, and I was telling them how you can go about it. Now, CBSE has started these things, NCRT is doing similar things and so on. How effective have they been, ma'am, as far as your experience is concerned?
Effective in making computer as a tool, internet as a tool. See, it is most effective. And then, they are not pressurizing us to do anything. They're training us for these things. And it is up to the school, up to the teacher, to which level, to what level they want to take it. Definitely, it cannot replace a teacher. It is only a supplementary device. It should be used rather to take academics and other things forward. Now, for example, the music can be brought in very easily in a classroom when you are using internet, because you are teaching on a particular theme in literature, and you can bring in a music with the same theme or lyrics or whatever, and just play it for 2 minutes in your class. That brings in that captures attention of all children because they love it. So, and instantaneously, when you're discussing something, maybe you've not planned it out, but cricket comes in between. You can just bring something. A child says, ma'am, that particular video on Sunil Gavaskar or Kapil Dev when they won the first Indian World Cup. That's a beautiful video. Yeah. The teacher can quickly bring in that in the classroom, and it can be well taught of as how emotions come up. If the topic is on emotions or whatever, can use all these things to teach emotions, happiness, sadness, and the children can look at it. They can record their own videos and put on Padlet and other things for everybody to see. So it is there. It is a very good tool to supplement teaching learning, and it has to continue. Your recapitulation is so easy on one MS form. At the end of the day, you just release a form with questions or Kahoot quiz or whatever. Your children have answered. You come to know you are able to assess each child that how much learning has happened. So otherwise in classroom, when you do it one-to-one, like in my classrooms, there are around 35 children. So 32, 33, 35 children. For teacher to understand has each child learned is a challenge. But with these tools, it's immediately the teacher comes to know who has understood what and what to do about it. So these are... Yes, ma'am.
If I may add that, another advantage of internet in the classroom is that all teachers, if they have the computer, tomorrow I'm doing a lecture, I can invite an expert online to just address the children or answer the questions.
Yes.
I can have exchange programs with students all over the world. Suppose they're doing a history lesson, or like I said, I'm a biology teacher, genetically modified foods. Different countries have different rulings on it. So I can have students from different schools in different countries to interact with each other. Exchanges no longer need to have the expense of actually going to another country physically. Of course, that's very advantageous and a great learning experience. We are going back to it. But online exchanges have become such a good, easy
Wonders.
thing. Many experts from the field of business or entrepreneurs, we call them in a class, or a history professor from JNU will just come and address the children about the, any history topic that they're doing in India. So that is the power of the internet. It's
Amazing.
just connected everybody. It's at the end of a fingertip. The teacher just needs to plan at home that I'm doing this lesson. I would like to invite X, Y, or Z. I don't have to fix appointments and cars. All that hassle is taken away. And I think that means that there is more. I should say that in the future, there will be more exchange and interchange between professors, industries, school. I think it's a great power that the internet has.
It is, ma'am. No doubt about it. In fact,
And museums all over the world can be visited.
Yes.
Libraries, ma'am.
Libraries, yes. Libraries, they're treasures.
In fact, what you're just saying now is actually helping me, funnel into the next question. I would also like to point out, ma'am, there are a lot of people who are asking questions on YouTube where it is being live streamed directly. And I think you've answered a lot of them automatically. For example, teachers have been able to show creativity in delivering classes. You just mentioned how they can do that. Suggestions on blended learning, you've answered that. What my question now is, and we'll take more questions towards the end, last 10 minutes, we'll just dedicate to all the user questions. So if you're watching this and if you have a burning question in mind, please put it on chat on YouTube and we'll come to that. So internet is an amazing tool. We have found a lot of advantages, more advantages than challenges, or I would say, disadvantages. And we'll keep working on, solving the disadvantages, obviously. Manisha, ma'am, I remember having a conversation with you before this where you said, what Sriram is doing towards robotics and AI. My question comes from that aspect. All the new technology, all the, I would say now 21st century technology, including AI, ML, NLP, AR, VR, all these amazing tools are available. How are the schools managing that? Now we've already understood how to manage a dashboard and a CRM at school level. Great. When are we doing the rest of the stuff so that we don't have to rely only on museums and libraries which are doing this, but we can create our own curricula based on all these modern tech as well?
So, Saurabh, just to share with you that, realizing that robotics is one of the careers of the future, what we did was we offered it first as a club, and then we went into offering it as a subject in classes 6 to 8 as a compulsory thing. We had to expose our children to what is robotics. So we actually set up a robotic lab. We hired a teacher for robotics, and children had projects to do. Then we got the computer science teacher, the physics, the robotics teacher to work together on projects so that it doesn't add to the burden of the curriculum, but it is used, children are exposed to it, and they get going with it through projects. And the assessment was more about whether they're enjoying it or not, what aspect they're getting into. And here, if I can share a small anecdote. The first year we found, the teacher came to me saying, I have made multiple groups for projects, and I find the girls do the designing and the boys do the actual work of putting the robot together. So she said, now what do I do? And the girls just do their designing, and then they sit there and they say, "Isko color se lenge," and this way and then that. But the boys are actually implementing it. So I told her, what you can do is have only girl groups and only boy groups, though I don't believe in that challenge. But then the girls started rising to the challenge and the mindset that even I can do robotics. It's a science, but I just have to learn it, the principles of it, like any other subject. So that was our journey with robotics. And I think we started way ahead, and I'm so glad now with the NEP, it's becoming a very important part of it. Where artificial intelligence is concerned, another thing that we did was we revamped the curriculum. Because with the ISC board, ICSE board in 6, 7, 8, we have the flexibility. So computer science and robotics were our curriculum. And a few years ago, when ISC introduced computer science, we revamped the curriculum that we will do what the council is saying, but we will add app development to it. We will add a little bit of coding to it so that children enjoy doing it. So some children are so heavily into coding and some find it boring. So what we did was we said we'll celebrate the Artificial Intelligence Day. So over 3 days, we had like an artificial intelligence fest where our student council member, who's the head of ICT, came up with how artificial intelligence can be used to write stories, to create music, to do doodle. So the entire school, they had drones on. So that was to create an interest. At least let them start getting curious about what is artificial intelligence. In their daily life, Siri is talking to them so much. It's realizing patterns, which movie to see. You will find class 6 student can also tell you, ma'am, if you one time watch a war movie, every time Siri will ask you to see, or Netflix will say, these are the war movies. Ma'am, that's artificial intelligence. I said, yeah, I believe so. So I feel that they are curious. You catch them in middle school, and then by the time they do 9, 10, 11, 12, they are into it. Of course, we also celebrate something called Shri Tech, where we have an inter-school competition where 52 schools all over the country participated, where you have competitions like ethical hacking. They develop an app. We had Shark Tank, where they developed an app and tried to sell it. So we had somebody wanting it. And children, it was all driven by children, poster competition, cartoon making, whatever they like to do, and quizzes they had. So that is another way. And many schools are doing these inter-school tech events. And to be, sending your teams there, because learning beyond the classroom or the textbook is important. Don't get restricted that it's, it is there, you need to do it. So this year when we had the tech event, again, that is where I emphasize that getting the children's buy-in and learning from them what is interesting them is important. They actually used an AR display. They constructed it to teach contour mapping. And we adults, all the accompanying teachers of different schools loved it. And the students told the head of the computer science that, ma'am, don't worry, you just give us the money and the resources, we'll do it. And then they made a robo using the 3D printer we have and some software. He said namaste to the Sriram school children who were coming. So I think as a school, as the leaders of a school, we need to give the resources. We need to give them space and time, sometimes after school, where they can explore these new age careers. And then they will want it, we can offer it. Like we have a design and tech lab. Initially, I used to have 1 or 2 students taking it. But because of that interest, now more of them are going into the design and tech lab. In 7th standard or 8th standard, for 1 year, we made it compulsory. Go make something. Just a bangle box. Just a little bullock cart you're making out of wood. But you're getting into the thing that design is a career I have. So,
Minakshi ma'am, I want the same answer, or answer for the same topic from you, but I'm going to add an additional flavor to it. BVN is such a huge school. How do we ensure that all these modern technologies also reach everyone? Because India is humongous, and making it happen for everyone. How are you tackling that?
So you said BVN is huge. So the resources are also huge. They have to be in proportion to the volume of or the population in school, etc. Like we have 6 computer labs to cater to each one's requirements. We have resource rooms. We are a Wi-Fi campus. So the infrastructure has to be accordingly. Now we also have club system in school, and it is managed by the children. And they are secretary, they are presidents, they are members, etc., who are children and who take these activities forward. And coding is mandatory. In computer science classes, we teach coding. So all children know coding. Of course, some are brilliant, some are average, some are not so good. That happens. It's we don't expect that every child has to be 100%er in this. But then we teach coding to everyone, and everyone knows what coding is. And I would say around 25% are just brilliant.
Yeah.
So children have, and we also have an Atal Tinkering Lab in the school. So we had started this lab a year before the lockdown. And then, of course, during the lockdown, because it was all in the initial stages, we couldn't take it forward in big way. But since last year, we have actually been able to take it forward in big way. And children are doing wonders. They have created drones. Now, they made one drone initially, then they wanted to improve it. They wanted to raise its height of flying. Then after that, they added components to it, GPS enabled and all those things. And then now what they are working on these days is that the drone should be able to fly with carrying some weight on it. So they are camera enabled, all that thing is there. So now the latest is that they should be able to carry stuff from one place to the other. And then I'm sure the next thing would be, if it is 5 kgs today, it should be 10 kgs. I mean, this is how progress happens,
True.
And they devised automatic dustbins. They when we were inaugurating the lab, that time they had created a robot. And that robot, when the chief guest came, the tray came forward with a scissor. So the chief guest lifted up first of all, of course, welcome and all. And then when the chief guest lifted the scissor, so the next instruction, the robot said that he has to cut the ribbon. So when he cut the ribbon, then thank you so much, and clapping and all that, and please keep the scissors back on the tray. And then the chief guest kept the scissors back. The tray went in. Those little things they did initially. Then they are making e-bikes. Right. So soon I'll be able to send you a picture from a video in which I'll be going from one building to another on the e-bike that they have made. And that is the e-bike which is very different from what is available in the market. Many more features added to it. And of course, they've brought down the cost of that e-bike drastically. So finance is another very important aspect to modify things, that the cost goes down. The door openers they have made, that someone approaches without touching, the door opens. The list is endless. And they're all working up to 9th class. It is mandatory for everyone to go to the lab and learn, and we give projects to them, and we ask them to make their own groups at times. And at times we kind of tell them, no, these are your groups, so that they learn to work with others in coordination and respect each other's calibers, whatever it is. And of course, we invite...
that is wonderful. In fact, when you said Atal Tinkering Lab, I'm a mentor at Atal Innovation Mission. So, I'm a mentor. We
invite other schools also, children from other schools also, to come and work in our lab.
Exactly. So it's a fabulous program. In fact, so recently
they don't have exposure to STEM and STEAM in their school, at least we can help them understand. So app development, everyone knows. Someone makes big apps, someone makes small apps, but they all have some knowledge about it. So the idea is that whatever we have reaches out to everyone, 100% children. Yes, ours is a big school with huge numbers, but then everybody should have exposure. Not necessarily that everybody takes it forward to the highest level, but they must know it.
Yeah, exactly. So exposure is very important. And, I would also say for international curriculum, which we offer subjects like design and technology, which we know will help these children. So the lab is there, the robotics lab is there. Resources have to be given, and space and time. And I feel if a school does not have the resources, like Minakshi ma'am said, sharing with a school which has, most welcome. We also keep our doors open because we would like to help other schools also to take it forward. So, these little projects that the children are talking about, whether it's drones or things like that, children make them, they learn. Yeah. And the scope, because there's so much of learning and it's not working, how to make it work, what jugaad can I do? That word jugaad is actually
very important.
A real good thing. And I feel every child, every boy, girl should know that we are great for jugaad. And that jugaad has to be celebrated. And now it is being, because if a child comes with a problem, like we said, teachers are facilitators, they'll say, how do you think you are going to figure out solving it? Are you looking here? No, look there. Look there. That's my job as a teacher, but let the children do it. So there is a lot happening in this field of new subjects. Now, like for blockchain, sometimes we have workshops. Children came up with, or teachers want to know that children should know about blockchain. How is it that security can be made better? So children who are good at coding know it. Python is already being done by all children in middle school. So middle school gives you at least 3 to 4 till class 9 4 years of introducing these new age careers. We've also looked at subjects like in the ISC for home science or hospitality or physical education. So you need to be open to giving new subjects. Now, financial literacy for some time we knew was not there in curriculum other than commerce children doing it. So financial literacy was introduced, that across the forms we are going to do it. Very basic, not going greater depth, but till 9, 10, 11, 12 we were doing shares and things like that. You would be surprised that some children, like Minakshi ma'am said, are brilliant, 25%. I had a student coming to me and saying, ma'am, using Bitcoin, I made so much money for my mother. So can I meet you and do you want to invest? I said, Adir will wait for that. But the thing is, again, I come to the same point that we need to be open and we need to see they will find their way. If you are open, they'll find their way. They'll take your help where required. But you say, I'm here to give you the resources, and that works. So I would urge most schools to keep their doors open, to collaborate with a school which has resources. Like when my school was under construction, there was some construction going on. We went to a neighboring school which has a good field if we need be. So that's that sort of collaboration we have to be open to. And that's why I feel all the education institutes can go up. The tinkering lab is a wonderful idea, I feel, and most schools have it. I have seen it. And I think that's the way to go, because education is becoming hands-on relevant. We want to make it relevant. We are preparing them for the future.
Ma'am, in fact,
Saurabh, may I?
Yeah, sure.
Like
sure.
ma'am is saying about collaborating, I am open to opening up my libraries after school for community children, for anybody to come and use. But I've told so many people, NGOs and other places as well, that please send your children to our libraries. They can come, sit, read, and gain knowledge. But I'm not getting a positive response.
Ma'am, let's definitely work towards that, because
yes,
you can rest assured that we at Pratham will definitely spread the word, because this collaboration is such a key word.
Very 10,000
Atal tinkering labs have been set up. They just recently.
Like today in my school, we have this NGO coming and they are celebrating their sports day in our school because they don't have the ground and we have a huge ground. So like this, we are open to allow our resources be used by community people when we are not using them. Why not? And financial literacy is big thing. Children have started their own startups also. Not everybody, but few. Then entrepreneurship is a big thing that's happening in school in big way. And we have a very interesting period every week that's called everyday science. Now in this everyday science, we of course decide the activity, but they have to stitch things. They have to do embroidery, they have to cook food, they have to do fireless cooking. Before Diwali, they all had to make Diwali lights and lanterns, etc. to decorate their homes. This is a beautiful period and children just love it.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Ma'am, in the interest of time,
is something very important. And in those lanterns, they added these electronic devices and robotics that you do this, it will open, the lamp will glow. You do this, the lamp will be turned off. Those little innovations. So the whole idea is that children should think and ideate and innovate.
True. I'm sorry to cut you off, multiple times actually. But in the interest of time, I also wanted to highlight a few things before we move on to the audience questions. This being an event pursuant to the International Day Against Cyberbullying as well. The session that happened on November 3rd, this day is celebrated on the first Thursday of every November. So this time it was on 3rd. And UNESCO did some research and they found out that around 25% of teachers are not sure whether cyberbullying is happening or not. And what they have recommended is that teachers need to be given more training, more institutional support, and they also need to be linked to latest guidance and research. So while we are, doing a lot of things at the cutting edge of educational technology for our students, our teachers, because they are older, right? They don't have the same learning curve as a younger generation would have. How are we tackling that challenge? Because I'm sure, we are doing quite a lot of things, but then there are so many schools and teachers out there who are not aware. And how can we collaborate to create more resources for them? Minakshi ma'am, I would like to start with you.
Okay. So, see, first of all, we have a cyber policy for the school, and which is on the school website, and it has been communicated to all the parents and students and teachers. That this policy does include what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, and this is in line with, this is in sync with the cyber laws of the nation. Then we do organize workshops for parents, for children, for teachers on the cyber crimes, the cyber laws, and how to safeguard your devices against being hacked and things like those. And I think it is only educating everybody that because about cybercrime, and saving them this way is the only option. Because if we take one step, the crime is taking 2 steps forward. So it is a continuous education that has to happen. We have to sit with our eyes open and all. And of course, safeguard. It is important that if any teacher complains of something, we have to do hand-holding, We can't be shunning, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Because no one does it deliberately. It has just happened. So hand-holding is important to whichever extent we can. And yes, continuous education is important. We have webinars by eminent people like Rakshit Tandon, etc. And then we are in touch with CERTIN, who give us guidelines, what new is coming, how to, like when we wanted to switch over from Zoom to Teams, this CERTIN told us that it's not that much of a worry when you are using it only to teach the lessons. It's nothing to worry about it. These are the steps which everybody should ensure, and it's not a matter to worry. But then, parents were worried because it was coming in big way that the government is against Zoom because of the hacking and cybercrime that's happening through that. So we switched over, but CERTIN guided us continuously that how to go about, what is wrong, what is not wrong, what to do, things like those. So we have to be sitting with our eyes, ears open.
So continuous education for this.
What Manisha ma'am will tell right now, I would like to understand and maybe implement in my own setup. We all learn from each other. So, we all learn.
So Minakshi ma'am, very true that, cyber workshops by experts, definitely training staff and parents, teachers about the hazards that are there, about how to navigate, because every day crime is going 2 steps higher. One thing that we've, of course, the policy is always, there's a cyber safety policy, but one thing that we finally implemented was that every year when children enter a new form, at the beginning of the year, we get them to sign a contract, an anti-cyber bullying policy, because we have an anti-cyber bullying contract, which the parents and the students sign, saying that they are aware cyberbullying is not okay by the school, that they will follow the conduct of the school, given that there are still children, 1 or 2, who will explore the limits and push the boundaries. And then, of course, there are consequences which have been very clearly stated in the bullying policy, and action is taken. Of course, the approach is more reformative. And of course, when we were using Zoom, there were 1 or 2 incidents of students coming onto our platforms or our students going somewhere, and consequences were given. So the message to all the students is that if there is, and if we find out, there is a consequence, and that's a strong consequence. The proactive approach is, of course, to keep them constantly aware. And this reinforcement is required at least once a term by the teachers in their computer science classes with the class tutors, that you are digital citizens, and there is a way there is a digital citizenship code of conduct which you need to follow to keep yourself safe from the others. Of course, getting Mr. Rakshit Tandon to talk about it for 1 week to puts the fear of God in all of them that we'll get caught and, this is happening. And you'll find most of the staff saying, this is also possible. I do this blindly. So that's another thing. And, when we have this tech week, we have one cyber safety week, which we celebrate every year in the month of April across the school, 6 to 12, whereby you'll have posters, signages, talks, games, all based on cyber safety and how to be safe in the cyber world. What is ethical hacking versus regular hacking? There have been children who came in the past and have told me, ma'am, I can find out the salary of every teacher. I can go into the defense thing of this country. I said, please don't do this. You'll get into jail. Those things, but the thing is, again, conversation. Secondly, what I feel, yes, empowering teachers is important, making them aware. But like I told you, Saurabh, earlier, I want organizations to involve children, to come up with games. Gamification is the best way to learn. So if we can have gaming levels, which suppose this class 6 student clears one level, then it's the next level. Phishing is there, wrong sites are there, fake sites are there, fake personalities are there. We put out all our information on the net. Children have multiple sites where they are going and they're interacting with all sorts of people out there. So through gamification, if the children can learn, it's self-learning, it's fun, it will stay.
Yes.
Of course, as educators in the classroom, we are trying our level best. At the school level, we are having this program, whether it's safety week, whether it's the contract, whether it's constant monitoring, Firefox is being used, to see that certain sites are blocked when they come. We do all that, but this is required. Okay. I would urge people out there. I've been asking my students, let's all get together to devise these games which are interesting, which are sticky, so that children want to play them. And then, you tell me, if something like Discom or whatever, that platform can become important, why can't these games become? You just need game developers who are up with it. This is an idea I've been wanting to float for the longest time.
True.
Another thing I feel is parents have a huge role to play. I would urge parents, and I've been telling parents that it should be a family decision when a device is going to be given. Class 6, class 5 or 7 or 8. Is it only due to peer pressure? If I'm giving the device, get the child's buy-in. There will be a code of conduct. There will be a timing that you will stick to. I should be having access to certain things. Install things like Net Nanny on your computer and, Firefox maybe to block certain sites. Digital navigation is here to stay. Computers, internet is here to stay. People will do what they have to do. I can only teach my children to be safe. We can teach our students to be safe. So I feel every parent, it's a partnership between the parent and the school and the child to ensure their own safety. We can keep guiding them. So it has to be a multi-pronged approach whereby we keep our children safe. So I feel even parents' role is important. Monitoring how much time. What sites are they going on? Keep the computer in a central place, especially for, classes 4 to 7, where they are very young. What sites are they going to? Have conversations with your children. Talk about incidents where children have got misled and, wrong things have happened to them. I think that kind of stories to be discussed with a parent has a lot influence with the child. They are with us for 8 hours. We are teaching them. But for the rest, they are at home. Late night, why are they taking the computer to their room, light, and under the sheets? Some of them are on the computer. What are they doing? Why do they need to do that? I always tell the parents, you have to be equally a policeman if you want me to be one. Together,
True.
We have to monitor and keep them safe.
So true, ma'am. In fact, the conversation is going so well that we've already crossed 1 hour. And I would request if you can.
No, but she's so right. Ma'am is so right. Computers can make your child brilliant and make her do wonders. At the same time, this internet and computer can ruin the child also.
Yes.
So parents have to be very watchful, very, very watchful. Just giving a device and bragging that my child has this device and all that should not be the matter of pride. But how effectively my child is using the computer, what good has she done with that? How,
the main question.
I mean, that is very important.
True, ma'am. In fact, I was just going to echo these thoughts that, the words that I could hear again and again are some of the words that I heard again and again ever in 2020 and 2021. Collaboration, responsibility, accountability of teachers, of parents, of students, everyone together. And as I say in a lot of cyberbullying sessions that I conduct, let the student actually guide us what to do and what not to do, because they know better. If you give them responsibility, suddenly they come on the right side most of the times. Ma'ams, I would request, if we have 5 more minutes, I would like to take two very important audience questions, if you don't mind. Yes. The first question is from Mr. Ankit Kapoor, and he says that how has the online learning, blended learning, or basically sitting in front of a screen affected the fitness of children? And have they come back? Have they bounced back? Or what has been the experience that you've seen? Please go ahead, ma'am. Minakshi.
Okay. See, again, the parents' role was very important. There were parents who were looking after their children so well that sitting in front of computer or laptop for limited time, for a given number of hours, was one thing. But they ensured that there was good amount of physical fitness exercises regime was followed, and children were using computers well. I have children who have done so well during those times. They became internationally acclaimed in terms of writing articles for magazines and books and journals, getting involved into research projects, international ones. I mean, they did wonders, but all this was not possible, majorly not possible, because of parents' involvement and hand-holding. But there was one set of parents who didn't bother much about what the child is doing. Okay, you've had your school for 5 hours or 4 hours or whatever, and now you must do some exercises, do some household chores, do some cooking, all-round development and all. So it was not that physical fitness has been impacted. It has been impacted. But in those cases where there was no parental interference to stop it. So the parents' role was very, very important. We are writing things. Writing was deeply impacted because children were majorly writing through the laptop, or they were not writing, or they were tick on the question, on the options and all. But yes, children are very smart. They bounce back immediately. So not a major issue now. And I'm sure whatever is left, maybe 10%, it will be sorted within this session only.
Perfect. Manisha,
if
ma'am.
I can add to it, two things. Like Minakshi ma'am said, I agree with her that if parents were vigilant, the children were much more fitter. With respect to the school, our endeavor was, like I told you, some small competitions that we did online, that if you can cover so many jumps or skips within an hour, or make a video and send it to us. So we had that competition. Or some yoga was being done, that let's together do yoga. Dance videos were sent that, along with the teacher, you'd play music and dance. And if you like some music, you can make a video and share it. So we had these small things at our end, just to tell the children that physical fitness is important. I find that once the children have come back, what they've missed really is playing. So, the request from them was, don't take away a PE period, come what may. And now, just yesterday, this AQI going high, when I told them you can't go out to play, they were like up in arms. I said, no, in the spot in the classroom, you can raise your hands if you like. You can have some board games. But I think they just wanted to play. They needed the field. They needed their friends. And when they've come back, majorly we've gone into all our sports competitions, inter-house competitions, and they've wanted their PE periods to be only fun and play. Of course, learning the skill, but mainly playing with each other, or going for aerobic classes. And aerobic is a subject that we offer, as an option. Some girls may not want to go for badminton or soccer or basketball or cricket, then they can go for aerobic, because that's dancing and that's also physical fitness. So we've not restricted ourselves to only sports. We've also given these options that as long as you're doing something to stay physically fit. And yoga is, of course, common, compulsory till class 10, from 6 to 10, because that is also about meditation, about self-control and things like that. But I find that physical play they missed, and they are really wanting to come back, and they've enjoyed coming back because of that aspect.
Yeah.
So they'll get
And
back to it.
And through this platform during online classes, we were kind of insisting on 100% participation. You have to make a video of this yoga mudra and you have to send a video. You have to do skipping on the spot, jogging on the spot, and you have to send a video. So children were sending, and because it was mandatory, everybody had to send. So these are little ways we asked children to do. Fit India movement played a lot of role.
Yes.
That was beautiful for all of us to kind of make it. Fit India gave us ideas and we took it forward at each level of the school. But yes, nothing can replace the physical game in the football ground or whichever ground. There's no shortcut to that.
And Saurabh, this is where we used Instagram. Most of the children go on Insta. So we put up these competitions on Insta and their videos on Insta. So that was something that,
very nice.
During
very
that
nice.
time, we used Instagram. So it's not only that they are benefiting, that we are also benefiting.
So there was basically a way where you could use the IT technology to stay fitter, if not, at the same level as before.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Next question, ma'am, is about, and this is a very important question. This is asked by Binod sir, and I'll just add to it as to we've been talking about so many activities so far, and they're all considered apart from academics in most cases. How much pressure does that put on a student? Because learning outside the classroom is equally important. But as we know, we are an academic heavy, culture. How much pressure does that put on a student doing all these things apart from academics as well?
No, you see, if I may take that, if the approach is to cater to the interests of the children, then you create various platforms. Don't make everything compulsory for everybody. But of course, robotics I need to expose. However, we will have a lit fest for all the literary people who enjoy that. They are part of it. But what do you do with the science students? That time we will say, compared to literature, why don't you write something or compose something? We might have a Shri Tech where the techies are fully involved. We might have a Shri Coach for the ones who want to use science to explain concepts and explore it. We have a debate. We have an MUN. So different children might participate in different events which are scattered through the year, and this is what most schools do. But some things we might find very important. So like coding, she said, Python we introduced, web app development we introduced. Whether I'm offering home science, not all children want to do home science, but in 6, 7, 8, they might have some cooking class, some life skills, they might learn cold cooking. Okay. But that's how some things as a school we decide are important. Now, some tools of IT are used and we woven into the curriculum. Writing a blog is a skill of the future, right? Social media influencing is a career which we never knew about. Or blogging can get you money we never knew about. But children need to know. We are preparing them, and there may be careers which are not there. So some bit of self-learning, that's why the flipped classroom or whatever they like to learn as part of their interest using the internet, we give scope for that. And some of it we interweave into the curriculum. Now, cyber safety, we have a week or a few days, but at the same time, classes are running. And cyber safety is also part of the computer science curriculum or other subjects. For example, you might just want to do the history of how computers were born. Things like that. So wherever possible, weave into the curriculum and give options also so that children can deepen their interest. We have societies, we have carved out 1 hour a week where children with different interests join the society of their liking, which are led by students, and of course the teacher is attached to it. But to deepen the interest further. When coding first started, there were 2, 3 very good coders in my school who said we want to do coding. And some children joined them. Then I realized, this is important. So now it became a part of the curriculum. So these are some of the ways that you can do. After school, Saturdays, sometimes in the holidays, they want to come and use. You say, okay, my library is open, my lab is open, come explore, come make it. Now also during the Dashera break, they were working on the robot. So that's how the school needs to decide. And I feel if you involve the stakeholders, which are your teachers and your students, then the burden on the child can be reduced. It is not an add-on each time, but you are weaving it wherever you can into the curriculum and creating opportunities.
Minakshi, ma'am.
Yeah. So, I feel, and we have a list of basics which we feel is mandatory. And over the journey, and we start from class one. It is not because suddenly, if you start something, you start, say, physical exercises from class 6 up to 5, the child is not used to of that. Child will not like it. So, and there will be issues. Sorry. And there'll be issues. So, physical fitness, mental alertness, logical reasoning, these do's and don'ts, we have to start from the beginning so that children are used to, and we know these cannot be compromised upon. Secondly, then things do keep changing. Like ma'am just said, that cyber security and cyber coding and all wasn't there initially. It started maybe 15, 20 years later from today, and now it is a part of complete curriculum. So things do change with times, and but the basics don't change ever. Like doing by hand, cooking, electrical work, repairs, all these things, cleaning your own classrooms, and then, doing some physical exercises, working with other children, etc., etc. So these have to be worked upon from the very beginning, and the children have to be given exposure. There is a different. You said that how much should we hard press? Now, every child should be given an exposure, understanding that each one will not take it forward. I love music. I'll take forward the musical things. I am not a tech person. I'll not get into coding in a way that the other person is doing, for example.
That should be aware.
Yeah. So giving exposure is our duty, and taking forward as a skill for those children who are into that particular area. Taking it forward for them is a good idea, because we know only they will go ahead with it, others will not. So there's no point breaking our heads over and bothering children on things which we know they would not like to do. They must be exposed that this is also a possibility. Financial literacy, entrepreneurship, not everyone likes. Social service, not everyone likes. But exposure, have a heart to do all this. You like it, you take it forward. You don't like it, okay.
And I feel another thing is that when you are introducing these things like community service at our school and all, we don't really attach assessment to it. It's more qualitative. When you attach assessment to it, the pressure on the child increases.
Yes.
And we've seen for learning to happen, no, assessment is a detriment, really.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes I feel I had my way, I would not even have a formalized, set, standardized exam, because it really interferes with the learning. I mean, that's being really drastic, but I really feel that when a child has no pressure that there is a board exam, otherwise he doesn't mind being assessed. You can see him working, say he's making something like an e-bike only. How is he making it? What is he thinking? Did he come up with new ideas? Did he look at new materials? Was he able to work with others? These are all qualitative things. They're also assessment. But if I tell him I'm going to look at all these things, then he gets stressed. No need. So that's why
stressed. Yeah. The parents get stressed, and they pass on their stress on children.
True. So true. So true. I
love this conversation, ma'am. Thank you, both of you, because I think I don't want to disrespect your time also now. This conversation started from a very counterintuitive point, and it is ending at a very counterintuitive point for most listeners. I love it. Absolutely. Because this is the way forward. I think it's quite a famous statement. We are all made up of stars. It's also very similar that we are all in this together, right when we were at the beginning of the pandemic. And we are still in this together. We have to learn from each other. Some questions were also related to, how other schools can emulate this. This is how you can emulate. Listen to what they have said and, start implementing it.
You can reach out to us if there's any way we can help.
I know. Yeah.
Please, they are really accessible, wonderful, leaders. Please reach out to them. We'll also share more details about them if you need. Ma'am, this was a wonderful first episode for the ELC Principal Roundtable. I would also like to use this because we've just got in some very interesting things that I would like to announce on behalf of Pratham Test Prep, that for the CUET examinations, we have 315 100 percentilers. 315 of our students became 100 percentilers for CUET, and 350 plus got 99 percentile. And
congratulations!
Congratulations! That's a
great
feat.
achievement.
Thank you so much.
CUET was something so new to all of us.
Exactly. And our students have, gotten All India rank 1 for St. Xavier's College in Mumbai for their BMS, mass communication courses, and also for BCA in IP University. Since 2012, ma'am, we have had some 67, admissions into College of Business Studies, our students going there. And it's a very, very special day for us. And you too made it all the more special. Thank you, everyone, for being here and joining in for this conversation. And see you in the next one towards the end of October. Namaste, and keep safe and keep learning.
Thank you,
Thank you so much. We love being here.
And I really loved the interaction. Thank you, Minakshi ma'am. I've also taken some ideas.
Loved listening to
back from you. And I would say St. Xavier's is I'm an alumnus of St. Xavier's College, Mumbai. Thank you.
Wonderful.
It's my alma mater.
Thank you. Organizers, I think we can stop the live stream. Thank you so much.